Hello, everyone. Welcome to our edition of the Ohio Guys here. My name is Christian Ocampo, and today I'm joined by another amazing guest here. We have Cole Feuchter here today. How are you doing, Cole?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to finally get you here. After talking with Kiba a while back, I thought it was appropriate that I get his good buddy and good partner in crime, who you both been doing great in the industry, wearing different hats and doing different things in this industry. So I'm excited to talk about some of the questions we have and just learn more about you. So I'm very excited. So
Yeah, I'm very excited. Thank you for having me. You're actually the first person that's like asked me for an interview, so this is a really cool experience for me. So thank you again.
yeah, I'm happy to do so. It's an honor to be the first one to interview you, especially with such a vast roles that you take on, just helping out Kiba, doing stuff for yourself, getting your name out there more as you get into more and more animes and other indie projects that come along the way. So yeah, I'm just glad that I can finally kind of touch upon those titles here.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So to kick us off, why don't you tell us what is it like working in the industry today?
So it's very interesting. I first started back in like 2017, 2018, trying to be a voice actor through Kiba actually. Um, it was really kind of different than the way it is now because back then everything that you could start out doing was indie small like fan projects or comic dubs or small little game jam style games that we have now, like visual novels and just short animations on YouTube, stuff like that. Now it's so much more open because even though last year was a really terrible year with the pandemic and everything that happened with COVID, in a way it kind of opened the doors for the voice over industry in the indie online scene with the capabilities of remote recording. So over the last few years, it's been really interesting to watch that develop and see those doors open, not just for myself, but for other people out there trying to do what we do. Um, I consider myself very fortunate that I was getting started when I got started because it kind of gave me, I feel, the building blocks I needed to take those steps so that I'd be ready for what I'm getting work wise now. Um, so yeah, it's very interesting. I have only been in studio to record something twice in my entire career so far because, like I said, of remote recording. So it's a I think a really unique position that I'm in with where I've been so far in the industry because almost everything I've done has exclusively been remote recording, and that's really kind of cool.
Yeah, as you touch upon 2020, I've been doing a lot of interviews with other actors around the country and some different parts of the globe. It's really changed the industry and the perfection with our remote recording. And now we're seeing folks like you and Kiba trying your hands in remote recording to trying to pump out certain titles with different actors from different places that we would not normally see pre-COVID era. So like you guys have done
Right.
stuff with Ascendant animation, got some titles where you got people from as far as Australia. So that's really been a
Yes.
game
Yeah.
changer in the industry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, it's been really rewarding to be able to do that for a lot of people because um, beforehand, pre-COVID, you literally had to live where the work is. So that means those big voiceover hubs. So here in Texas with Funimation and down in Dallas and then down in Houston where Sentai Filmworks is. Um, in LA for Bang Zoom and everybody else that's out there, and then New York and all the stuff that they do. Those are like the three main hubs for voiceover in the United States, and if you didn't live there, you didn't work in the industry, in the professional industry as they call it, because you weren't accessible. You weren't there to come into studio and record, because that's how it was almost exclusively done. Now with COVID happening, like you said, with Ascendant Animation, we were kind of the pioneers of doing this remote recording thing and utilizing people from across the world. We utilized, when we did Ishida and Asakura, we utilized people from Australia, from the UK, and from other places. And not even kidding, if not even a few months after that, we started seeing some of those same people in those same areas getting work with places like Sound Cadence and even Funimation. And it's been really, really incredible to see. Not to toot our own horn, but like, there have been news articles that have been coming out in the past few months that have pretty much credited us for pioneering that, for being the people that introduced that concept to the industry and showing that it could be done. Anime News Network actually put us in a video and in an article that they made saying that it's thanks to us and studios like us, they mentioned us by name, that these people are now getting opportunities in these companies that they've dreamed of working for, but because they lived out of the country, probably didn't have hopes of doing that until now. So that really caught us at Ascendant by surprise when we saw that, because they didn't tell us we were going to do that. They didn't ask us for comment. We were just browsing Twitter one day, and boom, Ascendant Animation comes up on a tweet, and we're like, "What's this about?" We click the video, and there it is. Anime News Network is talking about how Ascendant has been one of the studios that's changing the voiceover game due to the pandemic. So yeah, it's been very rewarding and very, very stressful at times, but there's a learning curve with it, and we wouldn't do it if we care, because we are doing it.
Yeah, it's amazing that when you guys rose with your studio, that remote recording has also become part of your guys' identity. Where most studios, it was the same tradition where you set up shop at the city, whether it be in Dallas, Houston, New York, Los Angeles. But your studio is not like that. It's not really utilizing a city. It's utilizing talent that's within the reach anywhere in the world. You guys have had connection. Yep, you guys have had connections with these actors from past indie projects, or you've networked different ways and just brought them together in this hub of yours. That way they can still get work no matter where they're at. So that's really been a difference maker with you guys' business.
Yeah, I agree. And it's very, very interesting to say that, because that's, until you said that, that's not really a thing I think we consciously to say that care or not care. We're focused on utilizing not the proximity of the actors, but the talent and the caliber of the actors. And I think that's a distinction that is important to note, because again, we're utilizing very talented people that live in other parts of the world that you would never hear otherwise, because they're not in LA, in New York, or in Texas. So I think you saying that is it makes me happy to hear that. It means that people are realizing that that's what we are trying to do, and that's what we want.
Yeah, it also makes, again, a sense animation stand out more, because you guys have something different. Like when you guys pick up titles, they get announced, but you have not announced a cast list just yet. Now, as viewers or us as consumers, you can kind of play around on this mystery factor on who is going to be in it, because you can throw any names together, and most times if people are guessing,
right,
they're going to be wrong, because you guys have so many names you can pull from that'll throw the fans off completely. Right. So it's a fun little curveball that you guys have at disposal. So it always makes some fun just go in that direction.
With, because I also run the Ascendant Animation Twitter account. So I like to have fun with it in a way that builds community interest and interaction while creating that suspense and that oh my god, who's it going to be? Because you're right, up till now we have announced the show and then we have announced the cast. And with Titan's Bride, something I started doing that I think was very successful was we would tease an announcement. We would say, oh, something's coming, and we would give a clue. Can you guess what it is? So for a good week, every day I was tweeting a different clue in a set of emojis to see if people could figure out what the title was we were about to announce. And only one person was able to figure that out. And that one person was Edward Mendoza, who just so happened to end up being the lead in Titan's Bride. Not that didn't have anything to do with it, but he was such a fan of the property already that he was able to figure out that the emojis that I was tweeting meant that show, and he was so excited. And then when he received the audition for Koichi, he was just blown away because he didn't think that was going to happen, and obviously it did. And it was really fun to see that happen because there were so many people trying to figure out what we were talking about. I think one of the first clues I put up for the show was a basketball player, because Koichi, the main character, is a basketball player, and so many people thought that we were about to announce the dub of Kuroko's Basketball, even though Bang Zoom had just released it. We're like, no, not that, but nice try. I wish. I wish it was Kuroko's Basketball. I wish we had something on that scale. But no, it was really cool to see. And then when the cast announcement came down, people were freaking out to see that all these indie voice actors that were sort of well known in the industry, like Edward Mendoza has a pretty decent following now. People were excited to see him in it. People were excited to see Kiba as Caius. They were excited to see people like Angela Tran, who we had for Medina. They freaked out that another actor from Australia was being used in anime, in an official English dub of an animation. Because beforehand we had used Dominique Den for Ishida no Sakura, and the fact that another Asian actress from Australia was being used was just mind-blowing to people, and it was so cool to watch that happen. So it's definitely something that we're going to keep doing going forward. We might change how we do casting announcements going forward, I think, but as far as announcing shows and stuff like that, we're definitely going to keep having fun with our community and our followers for that, because we love interacting with everybody. We love seeing the excitement around it, and we want to keep that up. It's something different that really honestly nobody else does, and we like having that unique to us.
Like I said, it's now part of your guys' identity. It's I guess in a way, because you guys are still new, you're still starting off as the new studio in town. So not many studios can do it. Like, yes, like studios will have maybe like a crossover with actors from like different parts of the globe, but you guys are starting it like as day one, just curveballs after curveballs, surprises after surprises, where us, the fans, will have to be on our toes because nothing's guaranteed. The talent is just vast, and they can be plucked from all sides. So that's definitely a huge advantage to your guys' favor in terms of all the studios that could do it, but at a more smaller scale.
Absolutely. It's very exciting because we also get surprised by what we're able to do. We never even thought we would even get to do any show. And when YTE Japan came back and said, oh yeah, we're definitely interested in you guys having an English dub of Ishida no Sakura, let's talk about it, we were like, whoa, wait a minute. This isn't a joke. You're actually going to talk with a studio that's only 3 people and let us dub something for you? Like out the gate, we haven't even done like as a first project, we were blown away by that. And then when we reached out about Titans, brand new show at the time, it had just come out in 2020, and right at the end of the year, right at the end of 2020, beginning of 2021, they got back to us and said, "Yeah, let's talk," and shocked the crap out of us about that too. So we're kind of waiting ourselves on pins and needles to see what happens next, because we have things in the works and we don't know which way it's going to go. It could go this way, it could go that way. We don't know, but we're all so excited because we're continuing to get more opportunities and see more people that are willing to work with us. And Coolmick, who had Titans Pride and wanted to work with us on that, are interested in working with us on more stuff, and we're very excited to see what that plays out into as well. So um, it's exciting for us for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited for you guys' future. Just how much attention, recognition you guys have been doing with these titles and still being the new studio in town. So as we switch over to another question for viewers out there who still don't know about your role in Ascent Animation, because you are the vice president as we are speaking. So to
Yeah.
kind of educate us, to get us more up to date on your role with everything that's happened, why don't you tell us what is it like being the vice president of Ascendant Animation?
So it's really interesting because I am in charge of quite a few things. I am the person that actually reaches out to the Japanese companies to inquire about acquisitions. So I handle all of that because I speak Japanese. I have a degree from the University of North Texas in Japanese. That's literally what I went to school for. So I'm able to communicate fluently with Japan, sending emails, corresponding with what we're interested in doing, and then beginning negotiations if they're willing to do that, if they need to see more from us, whatever, handling all of that communications and then passing that along to Kiba, our president, and then our CEO as well, and working all that out with them. And then I also help. Most recently with Titans Bride, I was the assistant ADR script writer with Kiba. I have translated both the shows, so I handle all the translation as well. I also handle casting and sourcing talent because I also run Asrion Productions, which is a talent pool that we like to use separate from Ascendant Animation to source our talent for whatever we might need, whether it's for Ascendant Animation or for other things that we work on. And that's really fun because, we made sure to credit Asrion Productions with the sourcing of the talent, and that has made more people interested in joining those open calls for submissions whenever I open those up to add more people to the roster, because we like to focus on people that would oftentimes get overlooked in the industry, the people of color, the LGBT community, people that may not even be in the United States, and we try to focus on sourcing talent that way than grabbing all these big names that we may not be able to afford but would bring name recognition to our shows. It's not something we need or really want to focus on. We want to focus on giving people an opportunity and making sure that we have the best quality possible at the same time. So it's very interesting to juggle that and passing along whenever I send out those auditions and filtering out through the ones that would work for the project and would not work for the project, and then passing those along to Kiba and our CEO, and then the three of us sitting down together who we thought the best can. In the case of Titans Bride, the communication with Japan, they wanted to know what our top 5 picks were for the show for the different roles, and then they ended up picking who they wanted us to cast. So then they got back to me and said, "You're going to choose this person for this person for this, and this person for this." And then I had to communicate that, read that, and schedule all that, and assist people on that. So it's definitely very interesting. Sometimes there's not a whole lot for me to do because if we're in the middle of a show like recording, we have our engineer Steve Nunez in the booth or in the recording session with Kiba, and I'll sit in the background and I'll take notes, maybe catch some things that they don't, that we might need to get a pickup for later, get somebody to re-record something. At the same time, it's also helping me learn how to do directing and all that stuff, so that down the road, if we need it, I can assist Kiba on directing and all that. So it's a lot. It's a lot I juggle, but I really enjoy doing it because it lets me utilize my degree in a way that I didn't think I would necessarily be able to, in communicating with Japan. It's very interesting to see how different Japanese companies are from American companies, and how each different Japanese company is interested in one thing for one show in the negotiation versus what the other company might be interested in for the negotiations. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot, but it's interesting. It's a little stressful at times, I'm not going to lie, because it is, again, handling sourcing an anime to produce for an English dub is not an easy task at all. Not at all. Otherwise, everybody could do it, everybody would do it, and we would have 15,000 shows by now. But we only have two that are complete. So it's a lot of work. A lot of work.
Yeah, you guys have really just been showing so much passion with you guys' business, with the amount of talent you guys have. And as when I spoke to Kiba about the actors you guys pull from, you guys really focus hard on representation, whether it be getting actors that are going to fit the roles, them being from minority backgrounds, or those, like you said from before, the LGBTQ community, that they're going to play roles that are going to, in the way, be a respect to what they're trying to portray in this medium here. So it has been great opportunity for these actors to showcase their background and see themselves in this medium of anime, and as well as kind of getting their foot started in this industry where now they can build up their career, right. They can build up their resume in a studio like your guys here. So you guys have really been helping all these actors get their feet wet. So that's something I really respect Ascendant Animation for doing that for these actors. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, the timing of us coming into like the industry as a company, in terms of representation, because Ascendant Animation kind of formed around April to May of 2020, and that's when we started really pursuing stuff and looking into acquiring something, and that's when we got the handle for Ishido no Sakura. And then that summer, almost immediately after that, the industry kind of had a bit of a wake-up call in terms of representation, because of all of the Black Lives Matter movement and all of that. And we were kind of on the precipice of bringing that representation forward in a way, because we literally started looking for the talent that we needed for Ishido no Sakura, and we started looking at utilizing POC individuals because we were aware there's not a whole lot of representation out there. And then as we were recording, that's when everything kind of blew up with Black Lives Matter and George Floyd, and the industry really kind of being given, like I said, a wake-up call, being screamed at by like Twitter and the indie online voice we're seeing screaming, we want more representation, give more POC actors a chance. And everybody else was kind of like, whoa, maybe we should be doing this and should have been doing it all along. And we were already like, are we in a way helping a possibility for these individuals again that get marginalized and overlooked in the voiceover industry? So it was really interesting for us to be involved in that in a way. And I mentioned earlier, Asrion Productions, almost not exclusively, I tried very carefully to curate a level playing for actors from different backgrounds. Um, I made sure to specify when necessary when we were looking for POC talent or LGBT talent. I know Bang Zoom did something last summer very similar to that. I've made sure I've gone through my list. It's several or a few hundred people deep at this point to make sure there's not as much as possible as not a weight too much in one way or another, and try to make it an even playing field in terms of having an even number of different POC actors as much as possible, because not everybody that submitted was POC, and some POC categories didn't submit at all. So unfortunately, I don't have representation for that, but we do have it in a way now where we can create even more opportunities for representation, because I now have a list of people that is, in my opinion, very diverse, and I'm very proud of that. And in the past several months, we've also seen different casting lists, such as the PGM voiceover actor list, which is all POC individuals, and there's the QueerVox list out there now as well. That's all LGBT individuals, and they've partnered together to be a hub for that talent, and that's something we have also looked at utilizing in the future, because they reached out to us and offered their services for that, and we have that now. We're very interested to see where that takes us.
You covered everything perfectly, especially from 2020, which I also believe really played a factor into the industry from the bottom up, from top to bottom, with representation, with current events that were happening, with some social issues that everyone was bringing to attention, bringing to light. And I keep using this phrase, probably keep using it for a while. You could say it was a perfect storm with what was happening in the industry, with social issues, where as you guys were coming about, establishing your studio, where you guys took notice, where representation matters in so many ways for both actors, for the business, for the fans that are watching the product, that see themselves, that can at least relate to what they see in front of them. So Ascendant really did pull through for its actors and for everyone that wanted a company that was going to take these social issues seriously, and that were going to at least show or prove their respect for these issues, to make sure that actors who are in certain groups would be playing these characters, because they're the ones that know these characters the best, because they know what these characters have been through, and they can see them parts of themselves as well when it comes to the LGBT, when it comes to characters that have faced like tough childhoods in their past because of their upbringing, their choice in their life, and as well as minorities, whether it be Hispanics, Blacks, Asians, all that were in life in the States or Western countries. It does play a factor in their daily lives. So now they can kind of see themselves as well. And I was in their shoes at one point in my life, so they can definitely relate to these characters that they're playing. So yeah, it's
Absolutely. I think you're right. I think it was a bit of a perfect storm, because so much was going wrong already in 2020. We had someone in power, so to speak, that was not great, not reliable, and was making things really bad for a lot of individuals. And then COVID, and that just compounded on top of that, and the poor handling of that, and everything was just building and building and building and building. And then the George Floyd incident, that horrible incident, was really literally the straw that broke the camel's back. People could not and were not going to take it anymore. it was like I said, the straw that broke the camel's back. The people weren't going to take it anymore. They couldn't take it anymore. The Black Lives Matter movement exploded. It was already there, but it erupted, and it was really heartwarming for me to see people like me, white people, non-POC people, step up and try and assist and be there for people that needed us to be there for them. And that, in a way, I think allowed, um, or really gave the Asian community that was suffering as well a chance to speak up. And that's when, on the latter half of the year, the Stop Asian Hate movement also took over, and people really started waking up to see, yeah, stuff is really bad for people of color, and it shouldn't be, and that's not fair, and it's not right, and it sucks that it happened that way. It sucks that it had to happen. It sucks that it's something that people ignored for so long, and pushed these communities to their breaking points, and now it's causing people to fight back and do all this crap that shouldn't be necessary and shouldn't be happening. And that's something we at Ascendant hope to do our part, I think, is a good way to put it, to alleviate some of that by creating those opportunities that we've been talking about, and making sure that these communities and these individuals feel seen and feel heard and feel like they have somebody in the industry that can speak for them and can relate to them, and who they better relate to. Because I'm a white guy, I don't know the experience that Kiba's had in his life. I don't know the experience that um, Angela Tran has had in her life. I don't know the experiences that Eddie Mendoza's had in his life. I know the experiences that I've had. And yeah, sometimes I can relate and sympathize, but that doesn't mean I can speak for. And I don't feel comfortable being offered those positions. I have a couple of times now been offered a role that is for a POC character, and I've turned it down because that is not, I am not POC. That is not my place. I don't believe in that. That's not fair. It should go to someone who is able to speak for that character and relate to that character in a way that I am physically not able to, and mentally not able to, because it's not the same. And that's what matters, and that's what people are trying to get people to understand. And we understand it, and that's what we're going to continue to try and pursue, for sure.
Yeah, and again, I'm very excited to see what other projects you guys will be picking up as time goes on, as months roll by, us getting to 2022, and again, seeing what other actors you will be either bringing back, or what other new actors that will be under the umbrella of Ascendant Animation. So the possibilities are endless. There's so much directions you, Kiba, and everyone else can take it. So I'm looking forward to see you guys continue the direction you guys are already in right now, and just see how far you guys can raise that level up. So yeah, I'm just happy to see you guys just go on the right path, I would say.
Thank you. That really does mean a lot, because it's something we're really trying to do, and we don't want it to be an "oh, look at us, look what we're trying to do" kind of thing that some companies have kind of made that out to be. We don't want to be that meme of all these big corporations during the month of Pride in June 30th. It goes back to the way it was, and all that just goes out the window. We're not doing that. We're not going to be like that. That's not the image, the foot that we want to put forward. It's something that genuinely, truly matters to us, because we have Kiba, who is a person of color and LGBT. I am LGBT. Our engineer, Steve Nunez, is LGBT and POC. And, it's something that we think we're uniquely in a position to do. And being so small, it lets us do that and kind of keep ourselves a little bit under the radar, so that it just happens naturally everywhere else. Not saying that's what we're trying to do, but it's a nice benefit of being smaller, is staying under the radar and being able to just do it and not have to care or worry about what everybody else is going to say, think, or do. We're just going to do what we want to do, and it's going to be great. And People are either going to love us for it or hate us for it, and we don't care. We're just doing it the way we think we should be doing it, and what is right for us and for our actors. And so far, it's been working. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? Hopefully, we keep going, and we're able to do more for more people. Um, but yeah, just like you, we're very excited to see what comes next.
Yeah, I believe you guys have a great foundation with everything you talked about. And for me, what I've seen so far, you guys are legitimate. You guys have really made that
Thank
focus
you.
known for everyone. So you guys will not be that meme. I think Ascendant Animation has really established that you guys are this, that you guys will be true to representation, being true to booking the right people for these roles. And from here on out, people will see more and more of you guys' work being cranked out, and you guys will continue on that train, if that's the right phrase to use it.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm glad we can talk about these real issues that have really played a factor into the industry, because this is real stuff that's happening every day, and it does
Yeah.
matter at the end of
Exactly.
the day when it comes to these projects. So yeah, I'm really just looking forward to what Ascendant animation will look like in 5 years or in 10 years. So
Oh yes. Yeah.
you guys are on your
We have
second
no
years.
idea what that's going to look like, but we're excited. We're along for the ride. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Definitely, definitely. So yeah, to just continue on the questions and from all these, all this real stuff we've touched upon. So I just want to hear more of your thoughts now as we dive deeper into the questions. What is your favorite project you got to work on?
At Ascendant, or like me personally that I've worked on.
You personally worked on, whether it being the indie stuff you worked on and your professional stuff you worked on.
So I have a couple that I really really enjoy, for different reasons. Um, Most recently, I really am quite honored that I got to work on the Saints Magic Powers Omnipotent with Funimation. It was the first time that I got to work with Funimation proper, um, on a project that was done at Funimation Studios by the Funimation team. I got to work with Caitlin Glass. She directed me personally. It was amazing to be in studio and work with her directly on something. And she was so nice and so kind and so just welcoming. And I was, going into it, I was really nervous. I was like, oh my god, this is a show that's being recorded in person at Funimation. I've never been in the studio to record something before. I've been in the studio to see the studio. I've been able to go with Kiba to a session or two in the past and see what it was like, but I never have stood in a booth at Funimation being directed, even if it was remotely, which it was, um, with one of the main Funimation like people, like Caitlin Glass. It's Caitlin freaking Glass. She's everywhere. She's in everything. She's been around forever. She is one of the first people I think when I think about Funimation. She's someone I've looked up to for a long time, ever since I can remember wanting to be a voice actor. She has been one of the people I've admired and wanted to be able to portray a character the way she does. Obviously, not the same way because obvious reasons. Um, so for that for me was really mind blowing. I still can't believe I got to do it sometimes. And that show is just so charming and beautiful, and everything about that show is right up my alley. So it's so cool to be a mage in one episode and then a knight that's got a lot of screen time in an episode right after that. I hope I get to work on more because it was such an amazing experience. But other than that, Ishida no Sakura is definitely a standout to me because it was my first anime role, period. I had never been in an anime before that. Not only that, I was the voice of Asakura, the lead character in the show, which that never happens. Somebody doesn't just get their first anime and their first lead at the same time. That just doesn't happen. And for me, that was really cool and really rewarding to be able to do. Um, I've been repeatedly told that my voice was the perfect voice for Asakura and it couldn't have been anybody else. And you know, the actor in me to believe that, but the self doubt in me says, "Oh, don't listen to that. That's just inflating your ego." Um, and then there's been a couple of visual novels that I worked on that have been really cool to work on, like Buddy and Full Service. Those are my first two ever voice credits ever. The very first game I ever was cast in was Full Service, and then right on its tail, I was cast in Camp Buddy. And then there's also one that I'm working on now called The Divine Speaker, which I've been working on since 2018, and that was the first ever time I got to be a title character. I voiced the Divine Speaker. So I know it's a lot, but they all really do stand out to me because it's another, in my mind, another milestone in my career, in this thing that I've dreamed of doing my whole life and am finally able to pursue. Every single notch in my belt, so to speak, on these roles is a milestone for me, because you dream of doing something and you never think you're going to be able to do it, and here I am doing something that I dreamed of doing. I used to not have a dream when I was a kid, and being able to do this now, it blows my mind a lot of the time that I'm actually doing it. I've only recently just been able to reconcile calling myself a voice actor, because I don't have as many roles as some people around me do, and I haven't been doing it for nearly as long. So for a while there, I was like, oh, I'm somebody that's trying to be a voice actor. I'm an aspiring voice actor. I'm not a voice actor yet. But just recently, this past few months, it dawned on me, you are a voice actor. You've been a voice actor since you were cast as Langa in Full Service. You've been voice acting. That's what you are. And the reconciling of that has just, in another way, been another milestone for me, because that imposter syndrome is real. Like, yeah, I mean, I know I'm rambling a little bit, sorry, but I get excited about it. It's a dream come true.
Yeah, no, I clearly understand. I think with actors that are starting out in the industry, whether it be starting right in the indies or they start straight with animes, you guys are still kind of building your careers, building up your resumes where it'll get you to more bigger roles, bigger titles, and stuff that'll kind of like still build on almost like steps, getting into more higher stuff, which has happened in the past for other actors. Like, we can talk about Troy Baker, who started in anime, did small roles, started building, and now he's in so many top video games, and
Yeah.
from as far as high as The Last of Us. So yeah, maybe actors in the future that are starting out will be the next Troy Baker in the next 10 to 20 years. So it's a possibility, as long as he or she, they or them, can continue still building the steps upwards and get into more higher roles.
Exactly. And it's funny you mentioned Troy Baker, because he's another person that I idolized for so long. He's one of my biggest voice acting inspirations, and you're right. He started down here, and now he's all the way, up here. The same thing goes for somebody like Sean Chiplock, who's a very good friend of mine now. He started doing the things that I'm kind of known for, these indie visual novels that might be adult, might not be. He started doing it that way, and now he's in a Zelda game. He's Rivali in Breath of the Wild. He's getting more and more anime lately. He's everywhere now, and he started where I am. And remembering those things also helps me when I struggle with that, oh, you're never going to make it kind of thought process, because we all do it. We're trying to do this thing, and we all have those days where we're just like, why am I doing this? There's no point there. I'm never going to make it. I think I might struggle with that more than some, because I've got other issues that compound on top of that. But it's remembering those individuals and those moments that make me stop myself and go, you're doing this for a reason. You're not failing, because you're I think I counted a couple weeks ago, and I have over 30 roles now, which it might not seem like a lot, but to me that's a lot because I only started 3.5 years ago doing this, and I've already got over 30 roles to my name, individual roles, and I don't know what to do with that sometimes. But it's 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 a, I think it's important to remember those moments, like I was saying, because it really does help. Um, it really does help. It keeps me going. It keeps me inspired to do what I want to do, and reminds me of why I want to do it. Um, which we'll probably get to later, but that's a whole nother story.
I feel for you in that one. And again, me talking to other actors who started getting their feet wet, same thing. Like these first, maybe the first five, first 10, or first 30 rows, you're going to remember that. Like this was your foundation, this was your beginning stage before you become a Troy Baker in the future, where now you get hundreds, maybe thousands of roles that just keep accumulating, that just keep on coming. As an actor, you want to still be around for any studios that would like to have you in their titles, in their projects. So you know this as acting 101, to keep on going. There really is no stopping. It's keep booking, keep acting, keep at it. So I think you really have the right mindset for you, yourself, Cole, to keep on grinding, keep your nose on the grindstone. So you're on the right path. And
Thank you.
then, yeah, no, you're very welcome. And I was just going to add add this as well, since you mentioned Caitlin Glass, another great person who's really been on it when it comes to representation at
Yes.
Funimation. So she's really been knocking out of the park, booking people for certain roles, giving newcomers a chance, making their debuts, and just
Absolutely.
being a great friend, being a great ally to both minorities and to the LGBTQ community. She's been
She's
amazing.
she's such an amazing person, and it's really really inspiring to see her do that. She's another one of my major inspirations. Like seeing her stepping up and doing what she's doing with like Horimiya, and I think there was only one person in that cast, if I'm not mistaken, that was non-POC. Everyone else in all of the lead roles was POC, LGBT, in between, like mixture of that. Like nobody's doing that, and here Caitlin Glass is, of all people, stepping up to the plate, not like you said, knocking it out of the park, and she's just gonna keep doing that because she's Caitlin freaking Glass. Like you're not going to stop her from doing what she wants to do, and it's really really awesome to see that she's trying to do that as well. I think it's something that should be celebrated more for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And as more time goes on, as 2022 comes along, in a few more months, we'll see her do the same thing with new shows, get
Mm-hmm.
more of these actors in, and again, she might also bring in some new actors that we have not seen before. So that's gonna be another fun thing to
That'd be
keep up.
very interesting to see.
Yeah, to keep our eye out for that. So
Yeah.
all right, so going for more questions. Now we can touch upon some of your titles. And here's one that Kiba and even Sean Chiplak, they adored working on this visual novel. And we're going to talk about Camp Buddy. What was like working on that one for you?
So like I said, Camp Buddy was the second project I ever got booked for. um I'd heard about Camp Buddy before because it's I follow certain artists and stuff like that, and I really liked the artist that made the game, and I saw that it was happening and never really thought much about it. And then one day I was over at Kiba's apartment hanging out, and he was in passing said something about, oh, we had to do something for Camp Buddy. I was like, wait a minute, isn't that one like BL game by so and so? He's like, yeah, like you're involved in that? And he goes, yeah, I'm the lead character. I said, no way, that's so cool. And by that time he had already gotten me in with Mas Jogo with full service as Lenga, and I was like, I thought that game was out already. Like, I heard about it forever ago and then nothing else and then blah, blah, blah. He was like, no, we still haven't recorded for it and they're still working on it and all that. And I said, oh, do they need anybody else? And he said, no, everybody's pretty much done. And then a week later, he had told me that Miko had reached out to him and said, hey, we have a couple more characters we're introducing and developing for the game, and we need somebody for them. Do you have anybody? Because Kiba, just like with Full Service, was handling casting and directing at that time for Camp Buddy, and he said, actually, yeah. So he approached me and asked me to if I wanted to audition for a character named Naoto, who is one of the route character Natsumi's older brother, and a character named Archer, who is another route character's named Arthur's dad. And I said, sure, why not? So lo and behold, I auditioned for it and they like it and they asked me to be both Naoto and Archer. And by far, Naoto is the character I'm best known for in Camp Buddy because that route character, he only appears just like with Archer, they only appear in those respective characters' routes once you're locked into being involved with those characters playing the game. So it's not like I'm a lead role or anything like significant like that, but it's been really interesting because Naoto has a pretty big following in the Camp Buddy fandom that rivals honestly some of the main characters of the game. There's a lot of people out there that want to see more about him and more um, of him in the games, and I don't know yet if that's going to happen, but it's something that I would like to see more as well because he is so popular and I want to reward those fans that are, interested in his character. Um, but it's been really interesting to see the fandom react to the character because a lot of times the fandom starts liking the brother character because he's one of the main characters, he's one of the love interests and all that. But then as soon as Naoto comes in the picture, sometimes they switch and immediately go, oh, forget Natsumi, Naoto's the one that I care about. Let's start being the fan of him and blah, blah, blah. And I've been reached out to by a few fans of the game on a few occasions that have just wanted to like wonder what it's about, like wonder what the experience was and all that. And the fandom can be a little crazy at times, but what fandom isn't? So that's a wild ride in and of itself. But it's really rewarding too because it's not often you see a background character get that kind of support from a fandom and a community, and that to me is really cool. And I don't know, it's his character design is very aesthetically pleasing as well. He's a very interesting character, even though we didn't do full voice acting for the game. I don't know everything about the game because I haven't played it myself. I know about my individual characters and where they stand in the relationships that they have. So it's really interesting. There's some people that hate my character because they think he's um, a hard ass and really like mean older brother pushing Natsumi's dreams aside for his own ends. But in reality, Naoto is actually a character that cares deeply for his little brother and wants to see him succeed and is pushing him to better himself and to be the success that he wants to be. He wants that for his little brother. He just has a at times an interesting way of showing it, but he is a very like a doting older brother, and it's interesting to see the people in the community that don't see that side of him or acknowledge that side of him, and I'm just like, but that's not how he is. So it's kind of funny.
Yeah, but no, this game when I interviewed Kiba, he explained like everything from like casting through bringing you and anyone that he knew in his inner circle, just being part of Camp Buddy. I haven't played this game
There's so many
myself.
people in that game.
Yeah, it's just it's one of those games where I've been told enough where I gotta try it. I'm like, okay, I gotta see what all the hubbub is about and experience for myself. So it is something I'm hoping to get around sometime soon.
Yeah, it's definitely a great game. It's when it came out, it kind of blew mine and Kiba's minds and kind of took the visual novel industry by storm because there still isn't really a visual novel like it. Most visual novels are just yeah, play it, experience the story, click the options, see where you end up, try and get try to romance the character you're interested in, all that. There's so much more than that in Camp Buddy. It's so well written. It's got really heartfelt, really emotional stories for the different characters. They all have their own struggles and their own demons they have to come to terms with. There's one route that is an absolute tearjerker. They like Hunter and his dad have a very strained relationship because Archer, my character, does not believe that his son is on the right path. He wants his son to be like a lawyer or a doctor, and he's very disappointed in him as a father because he doesn't want to do that. He wants to be an artist. So there's that relationship there that's very real for a lot of people that want to pursue their dreams, but their parents are very, no, you're going to do what I want you to do. And that's a very real thing that people experience in their lives. And this visual novel touches on that, and it goes in deep on it. And there's I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's a lot of stuff that deals with loss in the game as well. And that's not something you ever really see in these visual novels, because a lot of the time they're just there to, make money and be like, oh my God, hot boys, let's have a fall in love kind of thing and swoon over these digital 2D characters. Camp Buddy is really about telling a story, and the everything about that, from the music, the writing, the graphics, the gameplay, the mini games that are involved in it. It's a very long game, and I don't think people realize that going into it, but they're always, always, always very pleasantly surprised by it. I have not heard a bad thing about Camp Buddy since it's come out. So that is kind of honestly incredible.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing that really is that I heard that makes Camp Buddy very special in so many ways, makes it very unique. And again, that's why I'm hoping to at least see for myself, experience it for myself, what Camp Buddy is portraying,
Yeah.
what it lays out to the player slash audience. It always just amazes me just how visual novels can be very creative, how they can really be very impactful, tell a story like you say. It's and it's one reason why I enjoy like any type of stories that really goes into depth, into getting these really human characters and what they're going through. So yeah, I want to see what Camp Buddy is all about whenever I get the opportunity.
Definitely check it out.
Definitely will, man. I definitely will. So another game you really kind of touched upon, and this one I really had no idea that even existed until I put one of these questions together. And this one, really adult. Why don't you tell us what was like working on Full Service?
So Full Service is definitely extremely adult. That's the point of it. Whereas Camp Buddy has the adult content, it's not about the adult content. Yeah, it's there, and that's why they made it, is they wanted to make it in like an adult visual novel. But Camp Buddy focuses more on the story. Full Service is kind of all about the adult content, so be careful playing that one if you're not prepared for it. It is another boys love visual novel. I play Lenga Valentine, who is a secret route character. He's not one of the main 3 or 4 that's in the game. You have to like unlock his route by finding him and discovering who he is and like interacting with him to have him come into it as an unlock route you can pursue. He is a borrowed character from another artist, which I think is really cool. I take a lot of pride in being able to be his voice, because he's not one of the original characters that was designed for the game. He's a character that they worked out a partnership with another artist for it, and he let them use him in the game. And it was really cool to work with the Full Service team on what they wanted from Lenga, but also working with the character designer for Lenga and that owns him, because he was kind of made to fit into the full service world, balancing what they wanted from him and how he's actually supposed to be, who he really is, was a very interesting process. Going back and forth, saying, "Well, does this sound right? Is this what he would say? Like, is this how you envision him sounding?" I wanted to make sure I did it justice for his creator and for the people making the game. Um, he's a little bit lesser known, I think, still in the fandom, but he still has a strong following as well. Because he's just hot. I'm just gonna say he's a very hot character. He is a I can't really say that because that would spoil, so I'm not gonna say that. He's a very hungry boy, and it's interesting that he is that way because it's sort of become a kind of typecast for me, I think, as being characters that like just love to eat food, that are kind of himbo-y in a way. He was definitely the first one that I was cast as that is definitely a himbo. You could definitely call him that. And then a lot of my characters after that have ended up being in the same vein. So it's really interesting to see that happening in my career. But yeah, I find full service to be very rewarding. It's not nearly as popular of a game as Campity is. It's a lot shorter. It's a lot less complicated and complex in terms of story and all that. But it's literally the first thing I was ever cast in, and it's always going to hold like a special place in my heart because it's literally the thing that started my voiceover career. And I probably won't ever get to be Langa again. He's getting his own game by his actual creator, called Paradiso Guardian, that I would absolutely love to be involved in, but I know they're not planning on doing an English version of it, so I'll probably never get to play him again. But he's a character that I adore. It's, yeah, like I said, he's the first one I ever got to portray, and I feel like he gave me a lot of the tools that I have now, for my career and where I'm trying to go with it. So I'm very, very grateful that I got involved in that project.
With these BL visual novels, they're always special, or they're always interesting in their own way. This one in particular, when I was doing a little bit of poking around, when I was on their Twitter page, I found like exactly why it was adult, and I was like, okay,
Oh yeah,
so
it's about a massage parlor, so you know exactly where that's going.
and it did show some interesting pictures from like, okay, so it's gonna be this level of BL with we're doing. Okay, all right.
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely, unapologetically.
yes, definitely on the project. And you know what else made it a little bit more fun? Those pictures that they said to post. The comments were fun to read. So
Oh yeah,
so much
they always
support.
are.
Yeah, the support is there, and the fandom is there. So I tip my hat
Oh yeah,
to.
for sure. People love that kind of content, whether they want to admit it or not. Like, there's a reason the phrase exists, sex sells, because it does. Um, you know, something that we've been talking about at Ascendant as well is seeing a lot more of a demand for that BL content in the West, like in America and all that. So it's very interesting to be like involved in those projects and seeing how well they are received or how well they might not be received. But not once do we regret doing it. Even if people don't like it, it's something that deserves to be seen and be told, like stories that deserve to be told, because people exist. Like, LGBT people exist. I'm sitting here right in front of you. I exist. Kiba exists. Steve, like, we exist. We have relationships. We have interests and things like that. So seeing these projects being demanded more and more, whether people want to admit it or not, is really cool. And full not be the greatest game made, but it does have its moments. It does have its quality content, for the people that are there to see it, and it's it's wild. It's a wild ride for sure.
Oh yeah, it sure is. And, and again, just going back to the genre and this level of adult for full service, it, I may not be gay or part of the LGBTQ, but from the eyes of a straight Latino here, I can see like why the fandoms enjoy this product, why this appeals to them. And I'm like, yeah, if this is what you guys like, have at it.
Yeah,
And it's like, and again, like going just read the comments, I'm like, at least they're honest about it. Like they're they
and
they have
that's great. Like if you're able to sit there as a straight man and see the appeal and understand why people want it and why people enjoy it, and you're able to sit there and go, good for them, that's awesome. You get it. You are somebody that we want and need on our side. You know what I mean? It's great to hear you say that, because there's a lot of people out that don't think that content should exist and don't want to see that content, but it does, and people do want it, and they might not want to. Those other people might not want to admit it, but there is literally a growing demand for that content, especially in the West, because it's popular enough overseas where it gets made. But more and more and more, we're seeing a larger demand for it in the West, and that's something we acknowledge and see at Ascendant Animation as well. And that's why we went after the Titan's Bride, and that's why we produced the Titan's Bride, is to bring that content here and deliver it to people that want it, not to make a buck, not to shove it in people's faces that don't want it. It's literally being made for the people that do want it, that deserve it, that sometimes need it, that whatever. It's another form of representation, in my opinion, and it's important.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to keep coming back to that. Representation matters in any of these projects, and we're gonna make sure everyone keeps hearing it.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Now we can talk about Ascendant Animation's titles that have been picked up over the past year or two. So to start with the very first title you guys have acquired, why don't you tell us about what was like working on Ishita and Asakura?
So, like I said earlier, we never thought we would be able to do an anime. We never thought anybody would take it seriously. We never thought somebody would agree to license the show to us. And lo and behold, YTE did. They were very interested in having a dub of Ishida and Asakura before, in the past, when another another company had the license for it. The license expired. They never followed through on making that dub. So when we reached out about it, because Kiba and Steve were fans of it already, they had seen it at a convention years ago, as the story goes, and they had watched it together, and they were laughing and crying at how much they were laughing, because the show is so weird. It's so different. It's so slapstick comedy. We like to say it's in the, if people like Nichijou, that anime, that slapstick comedy about the schoolgirls, then they're gonna like Ishida and Asakura, because it came out before Nichijou did, and it did what Nichijou did very successfully. It was that slapstick random comedy, out of nowhere, out of left field, just off the wall, weird. And when we got it, we were like, no way, we're actually going to be able to do it. So we sat down, we figured out how it was going to work. Steve was going to do the engineering work, Kiba was going to do the directing for the voice work and the casting for it, and they needed somebody to translate it. So I said, so they thought of me, they brought me in. I sat down, I translated the script, I translated all of the kanji and the suns in the background that you see, did all of that, and then immediately when they started talking about casting, they said they wanted me to audition and to potentially be the lead role of Asakura. I was like, there's no way. Why would somebody unknown that's never been in anime, why would I be the lead in this show? Why? Even if it is 2-minute episodes, like a 24-minute series altogether, it's still a lead in an anime. There's no way. Lo and behold, that's what happened. as I said earlier, they said that there was no one else that could do it. It had to be me. It had to be my voice. Steve to this day still tells me how much he blows him away. The way I did Asakura, he repeatedly tells me how perfect it was, all that jazz. The Josh Waters, who we used for Ishida, my counterpart, was also fantastic. He's another indie voice actor who had never been in anime before. It was just everything about it was so cool and mind blowing because the whole time we were making it, we just couldn't believe we were actually doing it until it's done. We sent it off to get approval for putting it streaming on Amazon, which took forever, but they eventually approved it. We eventually got the DVDs made, pushed those out first because Amazon was taking forever to let us know if we could put it up for streaming. And then we heard back when we sent it off to YTE Japan for them to see and for them to have it in English. They got back to us and said that everything about it was perfect. Everything about it was exactly what they wanted it to be. They told Kiba that his writing was excellent, that he didn't lose any of the humor from the Japanese version. Everything was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, because I could totally be misremembering this, but I think they also said that in their eyes the English was better than the Japanese, and we're like, whoa, we're a team of nobodies. We came out of nowhere in the middle of a pandemic and asked for a show, and you're saying that about us? What did we do? Like we just did what we thought was right, and it turned out to be right. And it's still not a show that a whole lot of people have watched. It's not popular by any means, but it is so funny and so stupid, and it's such a good time. I'll never forget sitting in the booth in the other room and recording it and just being it was weird for me, to be honest, because Asakura is such a low set voice and he's so monotone and very deadpan, and it felt so weird to just sit there and talk like this and have this stutter that he has and not put any emotion what I'm saying. And the whole time Kiba and Steve are just sitting there cracking up because I'm doing exactly what they wanted to do. I hated how it sounded. I hated what I was hearing coming out of my voice. It felt so wrong to me. But watching it back, it still felt that way, but now that I've watched it a few times, it's grown on me. And they've repeatedly told me how good it was. So it's like a catch-22. I hate it, but it's great at the same time. But it's just funny. It's weird. It's different. It's never something that I thought I would get to do, for sure.
This show I love. Like I heard about the show when you guys were first coming out, announcing things on Twitter. And then when you and Kiba came to Chicago for MMA Midwest, you guys brought the DVDs, and then I picked my copy. It helped
Yeah.
that, I appreciate you guys autographing it. I'll treasure that forever. But this show reminded me a little bit
That
of.
was so cool. Thank you for like buying it and having it autographed. That was so cool to me.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thank you. I was going to say, like, this show remind me of Cromartie High School, just with how short
Yeah.
the episodes were, but they always try to get the jokes in right away and get out. So that we made a special where they try to get what they wanted right away and just be done with it instead of trying to prolong a joke or try to reuse a joke that might get stale quick. So I enjoy the direction that the anime decided to go with its timing.
Yeah, and there's a lot of jokes in there that are so quick that if you aren't paying attention, even though it's 2-minute episodes and half the episode is taken up by the title sequence, if you're not paying attention, if you're not listening, you're gonna miss the joke. And oftentimes those jokes are hilarious. Like, oh, there's one that was actually a blooper in one of the episodes that is it makes me crack up, even though it was my doing. In one of the episodes, there's Ishida's talking about why he can't help Asakura with something because something's happening in like the place is literal hell, and if he goes, he'll be trapped there and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, oh, I see. Wait, what? And it cuts off at the what, and it goes into the title sequence, and that was a blooper, and it was so funny that they put it in the show. And it's, if you're not paying attention, you're gonna miss that.
Yeah, I had the same experience. Like sometimes I had to like rewind the episodes to like rehear. Like, did I just hear that right? did I just
Uh-huh.
did I just catch it? So I just loved like the jokes, the timing. The timing was always perfect because that's another thing with jokes. You gotta make sure the timing is right on cue if you want the joke to be very effective to really get the
Oh
laughs.
yeah,
So
you
I I
you
really
have to make sure the jokes land. Yeah, there's the reason that's the reason they say comedy is like the most difficult thing to write, because if you don't have the right timing, the joke's not gonna land. You know.
yeah, and again, I just appreciate the quirkiness it had it where you, Kiba, and everyone else in the show, they got to really play with the voices, got to really
Mm-hmm.
go bit ham with sound performances, like especially with uh Dom Dean's voice
Mm-hmm.
with their character. That one was like really just it fit great for that type of anime. Just the way that the anime was stylized, the way that it was colored, because it really looked like an old school 2000s anime.
Yeah.
So it fit
I think the show
perfectly.
came out in like 2012 or something like that in Japan, 2011. So it's definitely an older show. And yeah, like you said, we're very proud of that cast because everyone in that cast sounded so good and fit in so well with those characters, and we're able to make each individual character their own thing. Um, yeah, I mean, everybody just did so good. We were so surprised, so happy with it.
I think this is a great way to kind of introduce you guys and everyone else as part of the team. So I was really glad just what I heard, and I got tons of good laughs out from everyone's performances.
It's definitely a very funny show, and I highly recommend it to anybody, anywhere, because it's got jokes in it for everybody. And it's a quick watch. If you need to kill 30 minutes before you have to go somewhere or whatever, go to Amazon, stream Ishiden Asakura. The episodes are literally 2 minutes long, 12 episodes. That gives you 24 minutes of content. Very quick watch, very easy. And I bet you money you will probably watch it again.
Yeah, I sure will watch more again because this is really fun anime to just enjoy the jokes on. Now on to the second acquisition of Ascendant Animation. Uh, Now we can talk about the Talent's Bride. What was it like working on that one?
So in Titan's Bride, I was not a lead character. I was a background basketball player in the first episode, and then I was Koichi's uncle in like the seventh episode in a flashback. Voice acting side of it's not much that I did on that show, but I did work a lot behind the scenes. I did translate it again. Um, I helped write the script for it this time. I helped Kiba with certain things that he wasn't sure how the translation was working out or how to get it to fit the flaps right. So we sat down and went through every episode together. And whenever he needed that help, I helped him out. Um, I did originally audition for other characters that were then given to other people, which is how it works. But it was a lot different this time around on the behind the scenes because like I said earlier, I was sitting in on all the recording sessions, taking notes of things that maybe needed to be reworked or things that maybe were missed, things that might have been mispronounced and need to be re-recorded. I'm just going to keep track of all that to help on the post-production side of things, um, as well as helping plan everything out behind the scenes to make sure scheduling went smoothly and all that jazz, because we had a very tight schedule this time around because Coolmake, our partners in Japan on this show, wanted it done within a set amount of time, and that's what we told them we would be able to deliver it in. So we sat down and we scheduled everything and we recorded the entire show, start to finish, all 9 episodes, however many minutes of content that was, in the month of April. In 4 weeks, we got the entire show, all the walla, all the background, all the bits, all the leads, everything done in 1 month. So it was very interesting to see how all that worked, because I didn't do that with Ishida no Sakura. I only translated the script and the stuff that was on screen that needed to be translated. I didn't handle any of the other parts of it. So that, in a way, I kind of view as training, because I shadowed Kiba on all of his directing, so that I could learn how to direct in the future if I need to, on any other projects that we might have. I learned how to write the script and how to format it right for an anime recording session. I watched how the engineering was done, and I actually assisted with the engineering at one point when Steve could not be there, because we had Steve's in LA or in California, we're in Texas, and then we had talent recording from New York or something like that. So oh no, sorry, that was actually when Kiba was doing his sessions for Caius. I sat here in this chair at this computer and engineered for Kiba's sessions as Caius while he was recording in the other room. I was the one that with the audio and go to the time codes in the script and do all that, play it, record it, all that. We would send it to Steve for him to edit it. So I learned how to do that for this show, and it was very nerve-wracking because I didn't want to screw anything up, but I think it went really well, because I didn't. We know that because the show is out and nothing needed to be fixed that I touched, thankfully. But it was definitely a different experience being behind the scenes the whole show, because I only was in the booth for maybe 30 minutes to knock out the two characters that I was in the show. But at the same time, it was also really rewarding to see all of the sessions as they were going on, because again, with Ishii no Sakura, I was recording all the time for it. I didn't get to sit in on the sessions with other people and see how they were recording and see how they were acting and learn from it that way. For Titan's Bride, I was in almost every session listening how people were doing their acting and learning from them as an actor, and then learning from Kiba as the director and seeing how he was adjusting things that needed to be adjusted and correcting things that maybe needed to be fixed. And it was very, very cool to be on that side of it for once.
Yeah. When I spoke to Kiba about this one, he told me just how much limited time you had to get the dub out, to record everything, make sure everything was done in a timely fashion. So a lot of work went into it. This was like your guys' biggest show up to date, because there was a demand for this show to get dubbed. It really had a fan following
Absolutely.
from beforehand. So yeah, there was a lot of care taken in, both from Japan's side, trying to make sure that whoever was going to get it was going to deliver tenfold with its dub, and you guys have definitely done that so far. So again, another props to you guys for grinding out, putting in as much quality as you can to make sure that you guys would deliver, make sure that the Japanese will be happy with choosing you guys, and make sure the fans will be happy that they get an amazing dub, especially with a show of this caliber.
And that's definitely something we really, really focused on with Titan's Bride, was the quality of the performances and the product we were bringing forth. Because yeah, it's a BL, it's adult, there's adult content in it. It might not be explicit, but it is adult content, and we really were focusing in on making sure that quality was there and nothing sounded too hammed up or camped up or over the top or whatever. We wanted everything to be grounded and realistic for the show, because we all know that in the past, that content that has been dubbed has sounded the way it sounds. It doesn't sound great, it's cringy, and we didn't want a single shred of that for Titan's Bride. We wanted every ounce of it to be as respectfully portrayed as possible, as realistically portrayed as possible, And I think we did a very good job of that. I think a lot of people were very surprised by that, especially when we started releasing the teaser clips and the trailers for it. Because beforehand, so many people were like, "Oh my god, I'm not going to watch this in English." We were seeing those comments everywhere. This is going to sound so cringy. This awful English dubs of this kind of content never sound great. And then, our first teaser clip came out that showed Eddie Mendoza with the basketball, his character with the basketball, and people heard his voice, heard Kiba for the first time as Caius, and people were really surprised that it didn't sound goofy and it didn't sound cringy. It sounded realistic. It sounded like an anime should, you know? And then the actual trailer for the show came out, and people were like, okay, now I'm interested in watching this. This actually looks like it's been done well. And, ever since the physical version released, what's the date? 11 days ago on October 1st, Amazon has been shipping it out like crazy. Right Stuff Anime, I think, who also carries it, has been sold out all once already. And, people are grabbing it up, and we're so excited about that because it means to us that we did a good job. And our partners in Japan received their copies of it, and they're very excited to see how it did, because they saw it when it went up digitally on Amazon, and they were very pleasantly surprised with what we did for them. They were very proud of the content we put forth for them, and they were very excited to see what the physical copies looked like, so they could see the quality we put into those. So yeah, it's been a very rewarding experience, I think, with Titan's Bride, because if for nothing else, people are aware of what we're doing, what we're trying to do, and they're seeing that the quality is there. The quality that should be there is there. We have quality that I believe can rival and be on par with entities like Bang Zoom and Funimation. Before Titan's Bride came out, before we even announced it, I think our Twitter page had like 300 followers. As of this recording, looking at my phone right now, the Ascendant Animation Twitter page has over 1,200, and that's just in the last few months. It's incredible to see that growth for us and that acceptance in the community. And I say that we have that quality. I think I can say that because one of our people from Ishida no Asakura, who was a fairly prominent character in that, his name was Christopher Escalante. He played Mr. Yamaguchi, the guy that talked with the zipper in his pants. He's now a lead in a show at Funimation, and we were told it's because they heard him in Ishida no Asakura. They wanted him for what is it, the Something Black Company, that anime that's going on now. He's the lead in that because they saw him in Ishida no Asakura, and they heard what he did, and they saw the quality we put forth in that, and they said, we need him for this role, and they grabbed him up. We did that. That's what I'm talking about when I say we have that quality. We have the talent, we have the quality, and people are being noticed because of it, and we are so proud of that.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, and this has happened before, where other companies will take notice in someone else's work, and when they hear talent, they're going to book that talent. So a actor like Christopher Escalante, I'm happy for him that there's people out there that are willing to keep their ears open and listen to that quality of talent, and will book him for something that they have on one of their projects, one of their titles in their catalog. It's amazing how you guys can pull together these talented people, because like you said, you want to make sure there's quality in the work you guys put it, but you also want to put in the talent behind it that do represent these characters. As we mentioned earlier before in this interview, that representation matters in so many ways, especially in shows of this caliber that demand those talented people to be part of these shows. And that's what you guys did.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm happy to see where things go on. I seem to get my copy of Titan's Bride. I thought it was just only going to be on Amazon Prime Video, but then already you guys got the DD sets like pretty quickly, and that was another big shocker where you guys are getting quick on getting physical releases out. So hopefully you guys might make limited edition box sets later down the road, because there are hardcore collectors that'd be happy to have shows from you guys
Yeah.
that will be in those beautiful chipboard box sets.
Yeah, that'd be very interesting if we could do that.
And yeah, it'd be interesting
Very
if
interesting. We'll have to
yeah,
wait and see. We'll have to wait and see.
yeah, it'd be nice if Times Bright had one. Like I can imagine like the extras that will go into it, like maybe like a booklet of some sort, and maybe like a miniature poster, keychains, stuff like that. Just some fun
That'd be
little
very
extras.
cool. It's something I know it's something that I can say that we're definitely open to doing. It's just we'll have to see.
It takes time, it takes resources. I'm someone that would like to, if I have my own company, I would like to make box sets, like just beautiful metal box sets, or just anything that would fit nicely to the genre or the
Yeah.
type of title. Because I'm someone that collects a lot of box sets. If I could, one of these days, I'll show you my collection. I have so many box sets that are just thick
I have
boys.
quite a few myself, so I totally understand.
You're a man of culture.
I try.
All right. So moving on from titles of Ascendant animation, now we can jump into the Funimation titles. And one really mentioned earlier before that really captivated your attention. What was like working on the Saint's magic power?
So, like I said earlier, it was just a mind-blowing experience for me because again, it was the first time I ever worked on a proper like Funimation proper title, not something that they outsourced to someone else. It was done by Funimation. It was done, my part at least, done in studio. I walked into the Funimation offices. I went into one of their big recording studios. It wasn't one of their set up booths. It was actually one of the actual built into the building studios. And there on the computer connecting with me from her home was Caitlin Glass, and then her engineer, who was connecting from his home, both remote into the studio to have me record there. It was just incredible. I never thought that I would actually get to go into Funimation and record something. I never thought I would ever record anything with someone like Caitlin Glass, because she's up there. You know what I mean? She is one of, again, the first people I think about when I think about Funimation. It's her, it's Colleen Klinkenbeard, it's Mike McFarland, it's those big names, Kyle Phillips, that you just hear and you're like, oh, that's Funimation, hands down. So receiving the email asking me to come in, I had auditioned for the show before. Didn't get what I auditioned for, but being called in to work on it, I was like, oh my god, I get to work on a show that I auditioned for, and it's a show that had been watching a little bit of in the Japanese. It's a show that I really connected with because it's, again, something right up my alley. It's magic. It's very like peaceful, very calming, very soothing, very charming show. And it's an isekai, and who doesn't love isekais? It's like fantasy. It gives me those like fantasy RPG, like tales of whatever vibes, you know what I mean? And I love that kind of stuff. And I was in episode 4 as a mage, who gets kind of exasperated doing these tasks to make these what they call foci, these little gems that are imbued with magic power that enhance the abilities and the all that of the knights for this kingdom. My character, he's on screen for like half a second, but you hear my voice a few times in the episode. He's freaking out because the main character Sei is able to make these things with little to no problem, and he's just like, oh my god, I can't believe she's doing that. Oh my god, our master is smiling. Oh my god, this stuff doesn't happen. And then later on you see him on screen, he's just like, oh my god, I'm so tired, like completely exhausted and exasperated, this look on his face that's hilarious to me. And then in the 5th episode, I play this knight who's one of the lead knight character Wolf's friends, and he's featured throughout that episode quite a bit. He talks to Say about how they believe she's the saint. They think the other girl that is with her, that the prince's training, is getting all the attention that she should be getting. They're so thankful for having Say around, and very friendly, very just cordial conversations between these knights and this person that's supposedly the hero of their entire world. And then he gets injured and he's in the hospital, and she comes in and talks to him, and he's just like, "Oh my god, it was nothing. It was, you should have seen the other guy," you know? And it was very nerve-wracking for me to record this, because it's a fun animation show, right? It's not something that Ascendant Animation is doing and we have the full control over it. It's out of my hands entirely. If I screw up, what happens? You know, are they going to replace me? Am I going to lose out on these opportunities going forward? Like, don't screw up, don't screw up, don't screw up. It's also in front of Caitlin Glass, and she's Caitlin freaking Glass. I can't say that enough. She's amazing. So in my mind, I'm just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. What if, what if, what if? And then I just go in and I do it. And she was like, "You were incredible. You were great. You were so fun, blah, blah, blah." And I was just like, Caitlin Glass is praising me. What do I do? I don't know how to handle this, you know? And I was like fumbling around afterwards. I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, that just happened. That just happened. And, you know, obviously I couldn't say anything about it because NDAs and all that, but I was like, in my mind, I was like, I can't wait. I can't wait to tell people that I got to do this, because I never thought it would happen, you know? I want to do more. I really want to do more. If anything, that experience really solidified to me that this is what I want to do, because it was so fun. Even if I was nerve-wracked or whatever, I went in, I did the job I was asked to do. I was told I did a great job, that they'll definitely have me back in the future. I don't know what that's going to look like, obviously, but, you know, it left me with the feeling that this is what I should be doing. This is what I need to be doing. And this is what I'm going to continue trying to do. And I can't thank Caitlin enough for that opportunity. I really can't. And it's a show that I believe everybody should be watching. I know it might not be popular or whatever, because it's only available on Funimation's streaming app right now. It's not on Toonami or anything like that, but it's definitely one I could see being on Toonami. It's a show literally everybody could should like, and should watch. I can't recommend it enough. It's just such a good show, and it's so easy to watch. So go watch The Saints Magic Powers Omnipotent on Funimation. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I'm glad you could be part of this amazing show. You know, I got to watch a few episodes of it. I enjoy its isekai genre. I know there's a bunch of them out there nowadays, but this one was just interesting because it's going through the perspective of the female side. Because
Yeah.
most of the you see most isekais, like mostly it's to the guys. They go to another world, and depending on the genre, be action, sometimes be more like psychological or more
Yeah.
comedy. This one was more, like you said, more peaceful. I would say more wholesome. Try like more low.
Wholesome is a wonderful word for it. Absolutely. It's so wholesome.
I think it's also low key, just where it's being very subtle in the episodes where this girl, you know, she's making the best of her life in this newfound land that she's in. And so just seeing her experiences, just doing what she can. And I think it's just more interesting to seeing how would a female react just being teleported to another world, where a guy might be more, I guess, more abrasive, a bit more
Action
gun ho.
hero type
Yeah,
of gets all the girls kind of,
yeah. I think just with the female side, it get more calmer, more patient, then makes this show very more enjoyable. Just taking in slowly, each step at a time, where you're not trying to keep up with 100 things at once, or trying to keep an eye out for maybe like hidden clues or foreshadowing. So yeah, the
Yeah.
Saints Magic Power really does well with its pacing. So yeah, I also encourage people to check this one out if they haven't. it's something that they can really just enjoy and relax and not criticize the isekai genre too harshly, because this one really tries to be
Yeah,
different as an isekai.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm glad there's another show you got to work with Kim Glass, enjoying her directing style, and again, getting your feet wet. I'm going another phrase that I'll keep using with Funimation, because I believe actors always get better when they're experiencing being in different studios. You know, each studio might be different, they might have their own style. So it's always good for an actor to branch out as much as they can, try as many studios, learn from what those studios are teaching them, and then utilize those newfound skills wherever they might go. So I'm glad that you can you're spreading your wings a bit more in terms of who you're working with.
Me too. Me too. I always love working with new people, new directors, new actors, new everything. It's always, in my mind, it's always a good experience, a good chance to learn something new, because every director directs differently. Every actor has their own methods that they use for acting. There's always something to learn from the people around you, and that's something that I'm really trying to, you know, do in everything that I do. Um, so I was extremely excited and extremely grateful for that opportunity to do that.
Glad you're so man. So I'm hoping to see if you be more get both more Funimation stuff, or maybe another studio from Texas might book you in something. Now that so many studios are popping up in Texas, the
Yeah,
possibilities are endless. So many titles can come your way. Just like that.
I hope so, but that's totally out of my hands. So
Mhm.
we'll see what happens.
All right. So another Funimation title you got to work on, and there's like kind of more recent one that's been up to date. I want you to tell us what was like working on Akudama Drive.
So Akudama Drive was dubbed by Kocha Sound. It was outsourced to them from Funimation. It's available on the Funimation streaming app and everything like that. But it was really cool to do that because it was the first anime that I had been that was a Funimation property that was going to be on the Funimation streaming app. Um, that one I recorded like last winter, in like at the very end of 2020 episode that I'm very much a background voice in that. But it was a really cool opportunity to be able to do a Wallace session, and it was directed by Brittany Lauda, and she's fantastic. She does a great job handling all the shows that Coach Sound does, and it was. I'm really thankful and grateful to her too, because who knows, maybe if without that, maybe I would not have been able to do the Saints Magic powers on Impotent. Maybe I would not have been able to do some of the other things that have come my way since then. It's I view every experience in the booth as a chance to grow as an actor, um, and I definitely for sure think that that one was one, because that was an episode to do again. My first episode where they get multiple people in the same booth. In this case, it was me and Kiba together, and we recorded like for this scene that's this riot. We were people screaming, "Kill the Akudama! Off with their heads! Murder them! Stop them!" Screaming at the police. There's a big moment of civil unrest in the episode, and we're screaming at police to do their jobs, pull their heads out of the clouds, that kind of stuff. Like, what are you doing? Why aren't you helping us? Um, it was fun to do all that, and I mean, there's not much to say on that one, because it was just a small, maybe in 30 minutes to an hour in the booth working on that. But I'm thankful I got to do it. It's out there. I'm in it. My name's in the credits. It's a credit of mine that I take pride in, and I'm just very very grateful that Brittany heard something in me that she wanted in that scene. Because it's something, even if it's filling out a crowd, it's still there. It's still me as an individual playing a part in this big group that's bringing life to something, if that makes sense. And it's an opportunity that if it weren't for Brittany doing that, I wouldn't have had that opportunity. It would not be something that I got to do. And Akudama Drive was fairly popular last winter. People were watching it every week when the episodes released, and it was a very intense, very like suspenseful show. And getting to be a part of that was just really cool. I'm very, very grateful for that.
And again, another lesson you learned about WADA, it is very vital. It is also very important when it comes to recording in anime.
Yeah.
And yes, you may not be playing like the main character, a recurring character, or a supporting character, but it is just something where you're still learning on recording with other people in the WADA session. Where some actors, especially when they're new, this kind of their way to kind of build themselves first, and this might do a bunch of WADA before you can ever book your first ever role, whether it be like a side character or maybe build up to a supporting character, recurring character, and then eventually play a main character. So again, it's doing those small stuff that will lead you to start playing the bigger stuff. So we can compare this to like
It's also an opportunity for that director to see how you are as an actor and how they're able to work with you, because if you're not easy to work with, if you're difficult to work with, if you're not able to do your job and make their job easier, if you're constantly having to do take after take after take and you just can't get it right, they're probably not going to want to work with you again. So being able to successfully do anything, I think, is very important for an actor. And getting an opportunity even in a Walla session, Walla is just important as the lead characters, because not every scene is just those two people on the screen talking, or that one person, or those three people. There are people in the background. There are conversations happening. There are lives being lived by the characters that are in the distance. Like, that happens in real life. You don't go to a restaurant and just sit there and it's just you and whoever you're with that exists. There are other conversations happening around you. That's why Walla is important, because it's real. It happens. It's not something that's non-existent. And I'm so grateful that there was an opportunity there for me to work with Brittany and for her to hear what I have to offer. Even if I've grown since then, even if I haven't, I believe I have, but that's an opportunity for her to hear me in a setting where she's directing, and that might plant a seed for any director. This is how that actor is. This is how where they fit in, where they don't, and this is where I may be able to use them in the future. That gets those wheels turning. I know that's how Kiba views it. I know that's how some of the other directors that we know view it. I'm sure she does too. It's a tool that is not just about filling out a scene in an anime. It's a tool that's used to, as an actor, like you said, build a foundation for the future, and for a director, maybe find a puzzle piece you were missing for something else somewhere else. You know what I mean? So I definitely think Walla is very, very important. And there's a lot of people out there, unfortunately, in the industry that don't think Walla is important, that they think they're above Walla. And like, I know a few people off the top of my head who I can name, but I'm not going to, that think that way. And it's really unfortunate to see, because some of them are very talented, and if they put in that effort, they'd probably be where they tweet all the time that they want to be. But I just try to stay humble about it. I try to be thankful for everything that I receive, because there's so many people out there that want to do what we're doing, what I'm doing right now, that don't have that opportunity and might not ever have that opportunity. So me even getting what I've got now, even if it doesn't compare to what some other people do, it's important to me, because I'm getting to do it. And I have to remember that. I have to be grateful for it. And I have to remember that something like Kiba likes to say is tomorrow's never guaranteed. So who knows? I may never get called into Funimation again. I may never work on another project, but I have what I have. And I'm so grateful that I do.
Yeah, no, those are some wise words you just said there. And definitely for any actor or inspired actor that might be watching this interview can take a page out of your book when it comes to learning new things, when it comes to learning the importance of a WADA or any certain tool that is being used in the recording booth by a sound engineer or director, whoever it might be, there's always importance in all of these elements that come together to make the project what it is once it's completed. So yeah, I think you summed everything up nicely in those sentences.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, you're welcome, and I hope to keep well, hopefully as we do more future interviews, I keep learning from you as well with whatever you might pick up along the way. So yeah, always good to hear actors' thoughts and stuff like this. So now it's come to a funny question that I like to ask everyone. So if you could be any character you have played in real life, who will you be? And you can mix and match.
So any character that I've played?
Yes.
Hmm.
Tough one, right?
That is kind of tough because I've played a lot of interesting characters. Let me go through my list. Hold on. Let me see if there's one that stands out.
Sure, no problem.
You know, I'd probably have to say Lenga, just because he's so bright. Like in terms of personality, he's got such a bright outlook on things. He's so like dumb. Like he's very much the definition of a himbo, but it's in that he's able to have fun no matter what he's doing and enjoy his life and the people and the things that are around him. And that's something that I could do with like more in my life. I think being able to just be happy, being so like even something as small as like a hot dog is something that just brightens his entire day, right? So it's just that kind of personality that I think really draws me to him. So in that sense, I would probably say, yeah, Langa.
Yeah, interesting choice there. Like I would thought maybe a bit of Asakura, but Lingo, that's a bit of a curveball in itself.
Well, there's sort of the same thing with Asakura, but I graduated high school. Asakura is not smart at all.
He is funny with his deadpan jokes. I'll say
Oh
that.
yeah.
All right. So is there anything else coming out that you can talk about, or anything you want to plug in at this time?
There's nothing that I can talk about coming up, like project wise. I I do think that there's something that I would like to touch on that I don't really ever get to, you know, tell people is something that I do. Um, I'm also a content creator. I have my own, or Keith and I have our own Twitch channel that we stream on, and I was also until recently a content creator for GameStop TV. So you could go into a GameStop store on the GameStop YouTube channel and see my videos that I was making for them about different games and stuff. And that's something that I really enjoy doing. Um, it's something that I'm trying to get off the ground and do more of, especially now that unfortunately GameStop TV is no longer a thing. They decided to shut that down unfortunately a few weeks ago. Um, but it's something that I think is a useful tool for me as an actor because it's giving me on camera experience for one. I've been able to use my interest in gaming to help other people develop an interest in some of the things that I've been talking about and doing segments on. Um, and I've gotten very wonderful feedback on the stuff that I made for GameStop TV. There's a video I did recently for them about Sonic the Hedgehog as a character and what he means to people outside of just enjoying his games, like what he is a symbol to them of like in their lives. And I put a lot of my own personal like experiences and like emotions in that segment and was able to do the same thing with quotes I received from other people about the character. And that segment touched people in a way that I hoped that it would, but wasn't sure it was going to. And seeing that it did that has really warmed my heart because it's something I don't think there's enough of out there. And if anybody wants to check that out, you can go to the GameStop YouTube channel and look for the segments called All In and look at those there. I also have been tweeting about them anytime they go up on the YouTube channel. Um, it's something that I've actually been requested to be at some conventions for coming up, like this month, since it's October right now. I'll be at what's it called, another anime con in Boston, and then followed by that immediately, like after that, in Reno for SnafuCon, and I'll be talking about my content creation stuff there as well. I think those are important tools to have for any actor because it's developing what I'm already doing, and it's also giving me something to do when I don't have any voiceover work to do. And I think it's just a lot of fun. I stream almost every day on Mine and Kiva's Twitch channel. It's twitch.tv/the_retrocade. Actually, it's this right here. This right here. Oh, you can't see that. Never mind. You can't see that because it's the same color as the background. Just kidding. Just kidding. If you follow me at Lord Azria on Twitter, I tweet about it all the time there, so you can see it. But yeah, that's something I enjoy doing, and would love for people to come join the streams if they ever want to.
Yeah, I'm glad you got a passion with streaming, and I'm sorry to hear about with GameStop TV pulling plug on that. I would have been happy to have put it down in the link down description on the box for this interview, but I'll be happy to put your YouTube channel and your Twitch channel as well, at least for people to see that you are available in these platforms. So I'll be happy to do that for you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and then since we touch upon those platforms as well as Twitter, why don't you tell us, do you have any Facebook, Twitter for both yourself for the Ascendant animation, as well as Instagram, or any other social media for both your personal accounts?
My personal account on Twitter and Instagram is at Lord Azria, and it's spelled Azria. Ascendant Animations Twitter is at Ascended Anime. That's ASCENDED anime. We don't have an Instagram set up for Ascendant yet. You said you'll put the Twitch down in the comments below, so I'll give that to you once we're done recording this, because it's too long to spell out. That way people can find the link for that. And yeah, I personally only use Twitter and Instagram for social media. So you can follow me there if you want to keep up with what I'm doing and what I've got going on. So please and thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you for your time for this interview. I know this is a very lengthy one.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad I learned so much from you. Got to cover on so much stuff, so many topics from all these social issues, and then all your thoughts on these amazing titles you got to be part of. So again, I wish nothing but the best of luck with your endeavors with Ascendant Animation. Wishing both you and Kiba all the best with your guys' business negotiations. I'm hoping you guys acquire more good stuff down the road and keep surprising us with these amazing dub casts. I cannot wait to see what other names might pop out here and there.
Neither can we.
All right. Well, thank you, Cole, for your time for this interview. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Christian.
Viewers,
I really enjoyed being here.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you to our viewers for tuning in for this episode of the Ohio Guys. Thank you all, and we be see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.
Bye.